Hi team, I hope you're all well. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of a TBR video for a challenge that I found the other day. Now, I spotted this on Instagram the other day, and then Claire messaged me about it, one of my patrons, and then her and Amanda started discussing it in the Discord, and I was really excited about the prospect of doing it. So this is hosted by Sarah from Wicked Reading, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to leave a link to Sarah's video in the description box down below and also up here if you wanted to go and check this out. But it is fashioned off of the Our Fantasy bingo boards, if you have seen those going around. I have taken part previously. I can't remember if I've done a TBR actually for that this year or not. I've thrown one together, but I can't remember if I did a video for it or not. But I am taking part in that one, which runs from April 1st through till the last day of March. This one runs from October 1st to the 30th of September. So it started on October 1st and it will run through till the 30th of September 2025. And it is a horror bingo board. I am so fucking excited about this, about the prospect of doing this. I really am getting into horror a lot more, and I'm so excited about that in of itself. But this will help challenge me pick up more horror. I have quite a bit of it on my shelves. Some of these aren't necessarily horror. You might look at some of these and go, oh my god, that's sci-fi, but it's like sci-fi horror, or you know, more of a thriller but with a horror aspect to it. So you can pick like any genre in general, but she does try to encourage, if you can, picking up horror books. So the bingo board looks like this. It is fashioned in the exact same way as the Our Fantasy bingo board, which I love because I do enjoy that bingo board. And this is stunning. I'm obsessed with the colour scheme and everything, and I'm very excited. So obviously the books that I pick for this are subject to change. It is the exact same thing with the Our Fantasy bingo, and I may, you know, end up reading something else that as I get closer to the end of this challenge, I may be behind on a couple of the books and I might swap them out for something else that I read during that time period that does still fit the prompt. So there is also a hard and easy normal mode for this, so I will go through each of the prompts, what I've picked and whether or not it fits for hard mode. But without further ado, let's get into what I've picked for this. I'm so freaking excited. Okay, so prompt number 1 is a book published in 2024, and the hard mode for this is to read it in 2024. So obviously there's only a handful of months left of the year, but I have decided to go for Heads Will Roll by Josh Winning. This is on my October TBR, so my intention is to fully read this month, and this is obviously published in 2024. This is a slasher, and it's focusing on a shamed sitcom star who goes to a camp to kind of sort herself out, but people start getting killed at the camp. That's all I know. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. This cover is stunning and I'm very excited about reading this one, and it is obviously my intention to read this before the end of 2024. It's my intention to read it this month, but before the end of 2024, that is my intention. This is one of those that could change. So if I obviously end up picking a different horror that came out in 2024 and reading that before the end of the year and not this one, I will swap it out. But in general, this one is the one that I'm aiming for. Next we have The End Times Are Near, and the hard mode for this is that the book has an epilogue. Now, I don't have a physical copy of the book, so I don't know the answer to whether or not this is hard mode. I will find out when I read it or when I get a physical copy, but I'm gonna go for Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I'm really excited about giving this book a go. I haven't read it before and I would really like to do so. I have watched the movie, so I would like to read the book because I've heard great things, and I know that there is a sequel called Mallory as well. This one is an apocalyptic book, which is essentially what the prompt is. The end times are near. It's to read a book that's apocalyptic, and you cannot look. I think if you have your eyes open, if I remember correctly from the movie, if you look around like normal, the monsters will appear, but if you have your eyes covered, they will not appear. I think that's what it is, but they do try and tempt you. I think they can talk to you in your brain and stuff like that. I don't know the full ins and outs. I've just watched the movie, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a read. I think it will be a good time. Next we do have This Is Halloween. So it's a book that is set on or around Halloween, and the hard mode is that it mentions trick-or-treating. I don't know a physical copy of this book either, but I am intrigued to read it. I've picked it up a couple times when I've been in Waterstones and then put it back on the shelf because I wasn't sure, but I've heard good things. And it is All Hallows by Christopher Golden, and I think that it should be a good time. I know absolutely nothing about this. I think it's set in the 90s or the 80s or the 90s. I think it's a slasher. It's set at Halloween, but other than that I know nothing about it, so I'm excited about going into this one. I think it's going to be a good time. Next prompt is blood on the cover, and hard mode is that it's very recognisable. It's more than just a couple of drops on the cover, and for this one I'm going to go for a book that's been on my shelves for a while, and it is Family Business by Jonathan Sims. This definitely counts for hard mode. It's definitely got more than just a couple drops of blood. There's blood all over this cover and on the back as well, and this one is a family mortuary business, I think, and things start to get a little bit weird. I don't know the full ins and outs. A chilling new horror about grief and belonging from the award-winning writer of the internationally best-selling 13 Stories. I haven't read that one either, actually, but I'm intrigued to see what this one is about. It's been on my shelves for ages and I'm determined to at least try it before I potentially unhaul it, but looks interesting and counts for the prompt, and it does count for hard mode as well. Next we do have Woods and Wilderness. So this is a book that uses woods as its main setting, and for hard mode is that it doesn't have trees on the cover. Now mine doesn't count for hard mode, but I am going to go for What Lives in the Woods by Lindsay Curry. This is a middle grade and it's going to be set within the woods. I think this young girl, Ginny Anderson, all she wanted for summer was to spend time with her friends, but it turns out that her family are going away for the summer and they're going to this cabin in the middle of the forest, and then strange beings start going on. She can see like eyes in the forest and stuff like that, but there are trees on the cover, so it doesn't count for hard mode. I have read one other book from Lindsay Curry and it scared the pants off of me. Middle grade horror seems to scare me more than anything else, so I'm really hoping that within this I will find some YA or adult horror that will scare the pants off of me as well, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. It sounds great. Okay, next we have Honouring the Classics. So this is either a book that's classified as a classic or is a retelling or reimagining of a classic. Hard mode is that it was written before 1950. So I did have a different book on for this that counted for hard mode, but I've actually changed my mind because I picked this up in the bookstore the other day and I really want to give it a read. And I'm going to go for Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I think this one was written in 1975, if I would remember correctly. I think it was, yeah, it's the second book that he wrote. Yeah, so 1975 for this one when it was written, so it doesn't count for hard mode, but I'm intrigued about reading this. This is quite the deceiving doorstop of a book because it doesn't look that thick, but this is 700 and odd pages. I am not kidding. The pages in here are like Bible pages. Very thin. It's 700 and odd pages. It is not a small book, and I don't know the plot of this. I think it's haunted house, but I don't know the full ins and outs of it, and I would like to keep it that way. So I'm intrigued about reading this. I've read a few from Stephen King before. Carrie, which I really enjoyed. Rose Madder. Misery, again, really enjoyed that. Pet Sematary was good. The first in the Gunslinger series, didn't enjoy that one so much. So I have read a few from Stephen King. I've also got Cujo on my shelves, which I would like to read as well, but I've decided to put Stephen King on for this one. Sorry, Salem's Lot on for this one. Same author. Salem's Lot on for this one, and I'm very excited about giving it a read. Okay, next prompt is translated work, so a book that has been translated, and hard mode is that there's a translator's note. Now again, I don't physically own a copy of this book. It's not long since come out, and I do, in fact I don't even think it's out in the UK yet. So it's come out in the US, but I don't think it's come out in the UK yet, but I have seen a couple of glowing reviews for this, so I'm very excited about it. It is a novella, and I am going for The Night Guest. I will show a picture of it here. The cover, beautiful colour. I would like to get a physical copy of this, to be perfectly honest, so I'll find out whether or not it counts for hard mode. But this one I actually don't know the plot of. I think it's vampires, but I don't know the rest of the plot at all. I know nothing about this, to be perfectly honest. Should we have a quick look, see if there's a tagline? It's released on the 7th of October as well. Oh, I don't know if it's vampires or demonic possession actually, but it looks like she's having some weird things going on. She's constant fatigued. she's going to her doctors, but they keep dismissing the symptoms. The blood tests haven't really revealed any cause. When she talks to friends and family about it, the refrain is the same. Have you tried eating better, exercising more, establishing a nighttime routine? She tries to follow their advice, but everything from a vitamin to sleeping pills to a step counting watch, nothing helps until one night she falls asleep with the watch on and wakes up to find she's walked 40,000 steps in the night. What's happening when she's asleep? Why is she waking up with increasingly disturbing injuries? And why won't anyone believe her? Sam, I've literally just got chills. Sign me up. It sounds fantastic, and it's only 208 pages, so I'm very excited about this one indeed. Okay, next is a cover pick. So basically a book that you picked up based solely on the cover. The hard mode is that you literally knew nothing about this. You picked it entirely on the cover. Now this isn't hard mode for me. I knew the general gist of the plot of this book, but I love the cover, and it is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. This is a haunted house story, and I'm really excited about it, and I am actually in the process of currently making my way through this. I'm not too far in at all, actually. I'm very at the beginning, but I'm on page 10. I'm in the process of making my way through this over the current weekend that this video goes up. So by the end of the weekend, hopefully I will have finished this one, and that will be a book down, which is fantastic news. So yeah, a haunted house story. I think it's haunted house anyway, or it's something to do with that. A young couple have bought this house, and then a couple with some kids turn up, and he says, I used to live here, is there any chance I can show the kids around? And she's like really anxious about it. She doesn't want to let them in. She says she's going to call her partner, but she can't get hold of her partner, so she comes back and she's like, my girlfriend said no, unfortunately. The little girl looks really downtrodden, and she's a people pleaser, so she lets them in. And then from that moment on, things start to go really weird. Her partner doesn't turn back up again, she's missing, and things start to get really weird. So I don't know if it's the house that's haunted or whether it's these people that are dodgy. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm really looking forward to it. So essentially, I don't know the plot of the story fully. We'll find out when I read it though. Very excited about this one. Okay, next is a Reaper read, so a book that deals with grief or death or whatever, and the hard mode is that death is personified, so it's actually a person or a being. And I'm going to go for Foxglove by Adeline Grace. Now I know some of you are looking at this going, Steph, that's fantasy, but it's gothic fantasy with elements. If you have a look on Goodreads, it does have it down as fantasy, gothic, horror, etc. So I'm saying it counts, and death is personified in this. He is a person in this. So we are following our main... I've not read Belladonna in so long, and I am planning on rereading it. I'm waiting for my Waterstones... No. Fairyloot editions of Wisteria. Fairyloot edition. I'm only getting one. Edition of Wisteria to come in so I can binge the series. So this is the sequel to Belladonna. So I plan on rereading Belladonna, so that could count as well. But I didn't want to put the rereading. So I'm doing Foxglove because I haven't read this one yet. But we're following our main character, who is called Signa. And we're also following her cousin Blythe. But we follow death as well. Now Signa, when she was born, she's kind of been surrounded by death for a very long time. She can see dead people. We're back at the Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
She can see dead people. She communicate with them as well, I think. So however, she is surrounded by death. Her parents die. Then she's moved on to another guardian, and they die. And then she's moved on to another guardian. She's not left with people for very long because they keep dying, and she's concerned. She doesn't understand why. And then she can start to communicate with death, and things just kind of go from there. I can't remember the full plot of the first book, so I'm excited to do a reread so that I can then move on to Foxglove and Wisteria. But I'm really looking forward to reading this one. This is not a smallish book. It is a chunkier one. I think Wisteria is a little bit shorter. This is 448 pages, but I'm really looking forward to this one, and it will count for hard mode with death being personified. So excited. Okay, next, this title has a spooky word, so this could be like haunting or ghost or grave or death, and the hard mode is that it's got 2 or more spooky words. Now mine is not hard mode, it's got 1 spooky word in it, and it's The Haunting by Natasha Preston. The audio and Kindle version of this are now out. Don't ask me how I have a physical copy of this book, because I don't know the answer to that question. I ordered it off of Amazon and it came. That's literally the answer I have for you. Now, I don't know if this is out now officially in the US, and that's how I've ended up with it. It's a very floppy copy. It could be from the US, I don't know. But in the UK, this is not out yet. And then when it came and I wanted to have a quick look to see if there was an audiobook, I was surprised to see that the audiobook and the Kindle were about to release. But this book, the physical copy, doesn't come out till next year. So, surprise. But I'm planning on reading The Haunting. Haunting is a spooky word. This is a ghost story. Haunted by the past, terrified of the present. I don't know what's going on in this story, but we're following Penny and she must forget about her ex Nash. Oh, I do know about what's happening in this story. It is a slasher. So Penny's ex Nash, his dad apparently went on a killing spree a year or two prior, a couple years prior. Brutal serial killer who traumatized their small town last Halloween. Yeah. Penny's parents have forbidden her to have anything to do with Nash or his family. So it wasn't Nash and his sister's fault that their dad was a fucking serial killer. But Penny's been forbidden to have anything to do with him. And then it starts to happen again as Halloween approaches the following year. So I'm very excited about reading this one. I love me a good slasher, so I'm really stoked about reading this one. It gives me Scream vibes massively, which is what I'm always looking for, and I'm hoping that it goes well. I've read one other book from Natasha Preston called The Twin, so I'm hoping this goes well so I can maybe find a new favourite author, because I really liked The Twin. It was very good, and she's got quite a few others coming out soon, so I'm excited to give this one a read. Next we have Dead Man Walking. So that is for a book that features reanimated corpses or zombies, something like that. And hard mode is that it's part of a series. So I'm not going hard mode for this one, but I am going for This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham. I know that Riley from Riley Marie has read this recently and she quite enjoyed it. It's sapphic, I believe, but we have the population underwent a transformation known as the hollowing. Those affected were only able to survive by consuming human flesh. Lovely. The people who went without quickly became feral, turning on their friends and family. Luckily, scientists were able to create a synthetic version of human meat that would satisfy their hunger. As a result, humanity slowly began to return to normal. So I don't know where this is going to go, but it sounds interesting, and it's got, you know, zombies in it. I just did a Google and this came up as an option. So it doesn't count for hard mode though, not part of a series. Okay, next we have genre bending. So this is for a book that combines horror with another genre. So, you know, like fantasy horror, cozy horror. Well, I don't think cozy necessarily is a genre. Romance horror, historical fiction horror, you know, it combines horror with another genre. We've already seen a couple of them. Obviously Foxglove was fantasy with a horror element, etc, etc. And the hard mode is that the other genre is one you don't usually go for. So I'm going for Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. This is a historical horror, and I don't tend to reach for historical very often. I will on occasion. I am currently like in the middle of the Veronica Speedwell series. I've just reread Stalking Jack the Ripper. I've got Half a Soul on my TBR for this month. So I do on occasion reach for them, but it's not very often. I don't have a lot of historical fiction on my TBR. So I feel like this one will count for this. And it's about vampires. I don't know anything else. Vampires and vaqueros face off on the Texas-Mexico border in the supernatural western from the author of The Hacienda. Again, I don't read westerns very often either. In fact, I never pick westerns up. The only westerns that I have read are Mistborn Era 2, and I didn't particularly enjoy the setting. So I'm a little bit anxious about this one, I'm not going to lie. But I have enjoyed The Hacienda, so, which makes sense because I have liked also like What Moves the Dead, and they're all retellings of Edgar Allan Poe's The House of Usher. So it makes sense that I enjoyed that one, but this one I'm a little bit nervous about. We'll see how it goes, but that's what I've picked for this one. It does count for hard mode. Okay, next is a 5-star read, and the hard mode for this is that you predicted that it would be 5 stars. So I don't have any 5-star predictions at all. I've no TBR where I've got 5-star predictions. I've stopped making them because I tend to know my reading taste very well as far as romance is concerned, but everything else is out of the window in general. So I don't particularly know if I'm gonna rate something 5-star. I'm not very good at guessing whether or not I might do, but I'm not on that basis, I'm not going to go hard mode for this one. So I will just put a horror book in at some point when I've read it, and if I've rated it 5 stars, that will fill this gap that is outside of this TBR. So obviously I've left this one free. It's empty because I'm not doing it as a prediction. I'm not doing hard mode on this one. So we will see what ends up filling that gap at the end of this challenge, not at the end of this video, at the end of the challenge. Okay, next we have a book by a BIPOC author, and this is the hard mode for this one, sorry, is that the author is new to you. So I'm actually going to go for When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I did do a quick Goodreads check on this one, and it is down as a thriller horror, so I'm good. We're all good. Everything's good here. I haven't read from Alyssa Cole before, so I am excited to get to this one, and I do have her other new one as well, new horror out as well, / thriller at the moment. I know that she's also done romance, so that's intriguing, but I haven't read anything from her at all. Rear Window meets Get Out in this gripping thriller from a critically acclaimed and New York Times notable author, in which the gentrification of a Brooklyn neighborhood takes on a sinister new meaning. I've heard incredible things about this, so I am very excited to finally get to it, and then also move on to her newest one as well. I wanted to read this one first, so thank you to Amanda as well for gifting me this one. She did send it to me because I didn't have a copy of it, and I was gonna get myself a copy, so she sent me one. So yeah, I'm gonna read this one and it will count for hard mode. Okay, so next is Cryptid, a book that features a cryptid creature. Yes, e.g. Mothman, Bigfoot, etc, etc. Hard mode is that you don't know the lore or the story behind this cryptid creature. So you've heard of the creature, but you don't know the story behind it. Now for this one, I'm not going hard mode, but I am going for It Came From the Trees by Ali Russell. And this one features Bigfoot, apparently. So I don't know the full ins and outs of it. It is a middle grade again. And this is following Jenna. She loves being out in the wilderness, and oh, her best friend has been taken, Reese, by a creature that she thinks it's a creature. She tried telling the police and her parents, nobody's listening. So I think she takes it on herself to try and find out what's going on. I think it's got Bigfoot in it or something. So I'm hoping that this one counts for this. If not, I will try and find something else. I know of Mothman, but I'm not aware of the background in it or anything. But I don't have anything on my shelves with Mothman or anything when I was having a quick look that I'm intrigued in picking up. So if anybody's got any suggestions for this prompt specifically, the cryptid prompt, let me know in the description box down below, because I'm open to other suggestions. I think this is Bigfoot, but we'll see when I read the book, and if it's not, I will pick something else up. But yeah, this is what I'm aiming for. Okay, next we have Title Has a Number. This can be numerical or written out. Hard mode is that the title includes more than one number or has a number plus a quantitative word. So midnight, half, inch, etc. So I am not going hard mode on this one, and I'm actually going for a book that a lot of you are going to look at this and go, wait, that's sci-fi, but it's horror. It's got a horror element to it, and it is Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Obviously ninth is a number. Well, it's not ninth. It still counts, right? I'm hoping it counts. If it doesn't, I'll find something else, but I really wanted to pick this one up. I have read, obviously, both Gideon and Harrow the Ninth and loved them. I have no idea what the plot is of this story. Not a clue. If you ask me to tell you what's going on in this, I cannot. So don't ask me to, because I don't know the answer to the question. But the vibes, immaculate. I'm obsessed. I binged Gideon and Harrow back to back, and I kind of wish I'd gone into Nona straight away, but we are waiting on the next release, so I wanted to wait a little bit. But now I may regret that decision, because I was in the zone with the series, and now I'm worried that I might not be anymore. But I do really want to pick this up. It was supposed to be a trilogy, the Locked Tomb trilogy, but it's now the Locked Tomb, what are you called? The Locked Tomb series, because the last book was supposed to be, I've even forgotten the name of that, but Alecto the Ninth. But I think that's going to be the next book, and I don't know how many other books are going to be in the series. I cannot find the answer freaking anywhere. So anyway, Nona the Ninth. I've no idea what the synopsis is of this book. I don't know. I've read the first two. I can't tell you. And we were following Gideon, who Harrow's a necromancer, Gideon was helping her, and they had to go and do something. And that's all I know. And now we're at Nona. Oh, Jesus Christ. I wish she fucking wouldn't. Oh my god.
Charles.
Jesus wept.
Have you eaten?
I had a cereal bar. Fuck a dog. So that's all I know, and now we're up to Nona the Ninth. It's a book with a number in the title. Okay, next is Satanic Panic, and for this one, it is a book that features elements of the occult. So for hard mode, it is a physical item is used in the book that falls under occult category, tarot cards, Ouija board, talisman, etc. I don't know the answer to whether or not this is hard mode. I don't think it is, but I don't know the answer. But I'm going to go for Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is the Evernight edition. But this one is, I think it's maybe vampires. Maybe vampires, but there is an occult, there's like a movie side to this, and there is an occult side to it as well. I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I don't know the full synopsis, but I'm intrigued to give this one a read. I have heard mixed things, so I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I am intrigued about giving this one a read. It has got an occult in it. Whether or not they use physical items, I don't know, but I'll find out when I read it, and will then decide whether or not it is hard mode or not. Next is a book club pick. So this is, you know, a book that you're picking up through a book club. There is no hard mode for this one. So with my patrons, we are buddy reading Bunny by Mona Awad in October. Well, it was over September and October. I'm reading it in October, so it's fresh in my mind for the live show. I am nervous about this one because I don't know if I'm going to like it. I think it's going to... I don't know. There is mixed reasons why I think I might like this, but also might hate it. Blending sharp satire with fairy tale horror, Bunny's spellbinding trip of a novel from one of fiction's most original voices. I've been wanting to pick this up for a long time, and I've been resisting doing so because I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. I don't know if it's going to make me feel stupid. So we'll see what happens with this one, but I've heard fantastic things, and I know Katie from Katie Coulson absolutely adores this book, so I'm very excited about picking it up. Nervous as well. Next is Pink Horror. So that's a book with themes of girlhood or womanhood, and the hard mode for this one is that the book is a debut. So I'm actually going to go for Nat Cassidy's Mary. I don't think this is a debut. I will have to double check that one. I'm fairly certain it's not, but I could be wrong. No, I don't think it is. Nat Cassidy's got quite a few other books out as well for this to have only come out in 2022. So I don't think this is hard mode. But this one is, I've already read the author's note for this in the first chapter, and already I'm freaked out and I'm very excited to continue on with it. No clue what's going on though. But the author's note, Nat mentions that this kind of started off as like a little bit of a Carrie reimagining slash retelling, which again, I really enjoyed the book Carrie, so I'm excited about that. But it kind of took on a life of its own and became something a little bit more. So I don't know fully what the synopsis of this is, but Nat Cassidy's debut, oh, it is a debut, you fucking idiot, it says that on the back of the book. It is a debut, so it counts for hard mode. Nat Cassidy's debut horror novel Mary, An Awakening of Terror, blends Midsummer, I've seen that one, with elements of American Psycho, I've seen that very long time ago, and a pinch of I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I've read that one, so I am intrigued on that basis because I have enjoyed all of those things. I mean, Midsummer was weird as hell, but I've enjoyed them all, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a read, and I'm very excited. Also, these books are so hard to get hold of in the UK. I had to get this off of Books Please, so I will have to do the same if I enjoy Nat Cassidy's writing and want to get more of their books, so we'll see what happens with that. Next is Multiple POV. So this is a book with more than one POV, and hard mode for this is that it has a dual slash multiple timeline as well, so this does count for hard mode, and it is Jennifer McMahon's The Invited. This one, I, again, don't know this. Oh, it's a haunted house story. A chilling ghost story with a twist returns to the woods of Vermont to tell the story of a husband and wife who don't simply move into a haunted house, they build one. I've read the first chapter of this as well. I was doing try a chapter tag for a video. Well, not tag, I was just doing it for a video because I couldn't decide what I wanted to pick up. So we start off with Hattie in May 19th, 1924, and then we move on to Helen in 2015, and I think we've another character. I don't know if we have Hattie again or if we have the husband's POV as well. I'm not sure, or someone else, no, it looks like it could just be Helen and Hattie. So this should be interesting and I'm really looking forward to it, and it does count for hard mode as well. Okay, next is a scene on the big screen, which is a book to movie or TV show adaptation, and hard mode is that you haven't seen the adaptation. So this one was quite difficult for me because I've seen a lot of movies, but I decided to go for Let the Right One In. I don't own a physical copy of this one, but I am going to go for this one. It's also translated work, so I'm intrigued by that. It's not a short book, but the synopsis of this is Oscar and Eli, in very different ways, they're both victims, which is why against the odds they become friends, and how they came to depend on one another for life itself. Oscar is a 12-year-old boy living with his mother on a dreary housing estate at the city's edge. He dreams about his absentee father, gets bullied at school and wets himself when he's frightened. Eli is the young girl who moves in next door. She doesn't go to school and never leaves the flat by day. She's a 200-year-old vampire, forever frozen in childhood and condemned to live on a diet of fresh blood. A unique and brilliant fusion of social novel and vampire legend, a deeply moving fable about rejection, friendship and loyalty. This book is 519 pages. So I'm intrigued about this one. I haven't watched the movie. I think once I have read the book I will probably try and do that, but I am intrigued. We'll see what happens with this one. I might try and get a physical copy, but I have it on my Kindle, so maybe not. I'm trying to save space. But yeah, I'm intrigued by that one. Okay, next we have a out of your comfort zone book. So a horror book that is a subgenre you don't typically read, and hard mode is that you've read from the author before. So I'm not doing hard mode for this one. I haven't read from this author before, but the subgenre of this book is body horror, and I don't typically read body horror. In fact, I try to actively stay away from it because it freaks me out. But I'm going for The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I'm a little bit terrified about this. Honestly, this cover freaks me out like you would not believe. This would have counted for multiple ones, obviously, like blood on the cover, for example. This is the Evernight exclusive one. Boy Parts meets My Sister's Serial Killer. I've read My Sister's Serial Killer. This feminist psychological horror is crawling under readers' skin. Brilliantly inventive, subversive novel about a young woman unraveling. Monica Kim's The Eyes Are the Best Part is a story of family falling apart and trying to find their way back to each other, marking a bold new voice in horror that will leave readers mesmerised and craving more. I think her mum used to say like the eyes were the best part of the fish, and then she can't stop thinking, as she gets older, she can't stop thinking about eating people's eyes. And I don't know where this is going to take us, but I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie. So I've read the first chapter, very intriguing, very gross, freaked me out immediately. Next we have short story collection. So to read a short story collection, hard mode is that there's 12 stories in it. This one is not hard mode, there are not 12 stories in this book, but I'm going to go for Ghostly Tales, which is spine-chilling stories of the Victorian age. I have a couple of these books and I feel like this one will be the good one to pick for this challenge. There are little illustrations at the beginning of each chapter. I think there's only like 7 stories in here or something, so it won't count for hard mode, but it's about time I got through this, I'm not gonna lie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7 stories. So I'm gonna be picking this one up for short story collection. Last two, we've got TBR Vet, so a book that's been on your TBR for a while. Hard mode is that it's been on your TBR for over 2 years, or it's the oldest book on your TBR. This has definitely been on my TBR for over 2 years. It's The Deep by Rivers Solomon. It's been on multiple TBRs, and it's about time I got to it because it's not even that long. I don't know why I keep resisting. I just don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, I don't think. But Bobby did send me this one a while ago, and it's been on my TBR for a while. This is about killer mermaids, I think, and I don't know anything else about it, and I think at this point I should just go into it without knowing anything else. So it will be good to finally get to this one because it's been on here way too long. And then last but by no means least, we have Creepy Crawlies. So a book that features some form of creepy crawlies, spiders, snakes, bugs, that kind of thing. Hard mode is that they're featured on the cover. So I'm going to go for Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This has got spiders on the cover, and I believe the spiders in the book. Other than that, I don't know much else about it. It's witchy, I believe. It's horror, I believe. I need to get to more of Rachel Harrison's books. I've got two on my TBR, or 3. I've got Such Sharp Teeth as well. I've got Black Sheep on my Kindle, so I have a couple. and I know that she's just come out with So Thirsty, so I have quite a few, but this one says a deliciously dark feminist tale of witches, bad ex-boyfriends, good coffee and friendly spiders. So creepy crawlies are mentioned in here. I don't like spiders. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm intrigued. It's about time I got to this, to be honest. This one is another one that's a TBR bet and has been on my shelves for a long time. I think I've had it since it came out, and I don't know when this came out. I'm fairly certain this might have been a debut, actually. Oh, 2022, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to giving this one a read. And that is everything for this horror TBR. This went on a little longer than I anticipated, but that is everything for this horror TBR. Chat to me in the comments down below. Have you read any of these? Have you got any other recommendations for me based off of these prompts? Let me know, because I'm always looking for more recommendations, and especially for that cryptid one with the, you know, the creatures, the big creatures in it. And yeah, chat to me in the comments down below. Are you taking part, or are you gonna go and shuffle off now and go and have a look at that announcement video to take part? Let me know. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye for now.